I don't have the live stream page open. There we go. And I think we're live. YouTube's always kind of slow to get caught up. Yeah, there we go. All right, video's there. We're streaming now. It's been a while since I've done a dev stream, so you know, we're gonna take this easy, take it slow. Sort of a dev stream, sort of a tutorial, I guess. I might talk about some of my game stuff later. Maybe. Maybe not. We're gonna see. This was per request from Eric Baskin. I don't know. Let's go to here. So the same guy who had requested the quality store page. This is like the store page saga. Because I bring this up like every stream for the past like 3 streams. This is the 3rd stream. Hello, nice to have you here. Thanks for joining. Eric Baskin, I think that's his name. I'm probably getting it wrong. It's going to say on the store page. It is Baskin. All right, nice. I remembered it. So Eric Baskin, one of the developers of the Oni Cell Sword, and the guy who originally asked me to add the quality store page thing, he had suggested in the comments of my previous video, the previous stream that I did, that I should kind of explain like my story. I'm showing this stuff off on screen, and we're looking at my face. Anyways, he asked me to kind of explain how I went through the process of this. I don't think he said it exactly like that, but anyways, basically the gist of it is it kind of sounded like he wanted a tutorial, and I'm happy to oblige. I'll give some information on like how I came to design this. I do want to say I don't think this is the perfect design. In fact, actually one of the things I want to do for this stream as well is to kind of make notes on what I want to tweak, as well as some things that some other people have suggested as well. Because like I said, this is not perfect. However, one thing that I think we can all say for sure is that it is definitely a step up above many other RPG Maker games. Like, we can pick any of the games that have a no next to them here, and we could probably see why. Like, for example, let's pick corn sausage here, and we can see that their store page, like, they have a picture of their character, which is nice. It's better than most, but it's mostly a text dump that doesn't really give a lot of information that's really selling the game. Now this game, corn sausage, it's not trying to sell itself at all, so like I'm not picking on it here. This was just like, as he states here, it's just something that he needed to put out in a quick amount of time, just to get himself into gear, get him into the right mindset. So, you know, it's totally fine. He's not trying to sell it, so it's totally okay. So like, what if we went to a commercial game that is that doesn't have a good store page? For example, like Wooden Ocean here. So if we go to Wooden Ocean, there's this is it. That's the description, and I'm sure to some extent this sort of meta humor it might actually work. I'm not going to say that it doesn't, but at the same time, I think this is not good enough for a commercial product, especially one that costs so much. So yeah. So we're just kind of looking at examples of like how RPG Maker devs are not exactly achieving what they should be achieving with their store page, and we're gonna see how to fix that. This is one of the games here that used to be marked as a yes, but if in my previous stream I talked about how I went back through and I really changed the requirements in order to get a yes on this, setting mine as sort of the benchmark. And so what it's really missing is maybe some more description, right? It's got some screenshots here. It also might be nice to see the game in motion as well. So let's try to find one more game. What's the Heart? Oh yeah, the Heartlander. Right. So this one, and like this game here, this is what I really see with like a lot of RPG Maker games, where you just have a very basic looking store page, white with gray, and it's just a text dump. It doesn't really give you a lot of like. You're just reading paragraphs after paragraph of the game, but it's not really showing you much about the game. You have the pictures here, but it might be you need something to catch people's attention. This might be informative, but it's not catching people's attention, right? So those are, I guess we could sum this all up as what we need to focus on. We first need to get people's attention with our store page. That's one of the most important things that we need to do. The second most important thing we need to do is we need to sell them on why they need to play this game, right? So those are the two things. So having an informative description that catches people's attention is what we need to go for. Now, I don't think, I've already said this, I don't think my store page is the best. There's definitely room for improvement. I want to keep reiterating that. However, basically everyone that I have sent my game to, for closed beta testing, has remarked on the store page. Not always positively, but they have remarked on it. And what that is showing me is that the fact that they bring it up means that it's at least getting their attention. So it's at least doing half of the job right. I don't know if it's selling them on the game. That's kind of up in the air. But it is definitely getting people's attention because everyone I've sent it to has had some sort of remark about the store page. So we're going to try to break this down into how I designed this page, what information I chose, and why I chose that information. And also, I want to bring up a notepad because there are some things that I want to change, and I'll write those down here as we go along. So first, let's just see what my store page has to say about my game. And then we'll go from there. So starting at the top, we have a short summary about the game. Fidel has found herself in a strange and unfamiliar world after spending 12 months in a coma, but that doesn't matter to her. She's got a wicked cut she needs people to see. The mysterious Popper has told her that she is required to finish his test and to deal with the nefarious figure that calls himself the Maker. But Fidel would rather cheer up the lonely people of the small town she woke up in. Then we have a header right here that says, "Make friends!" The Maker's Rampage has closed the tiny community of Crossroad Commune off to the rest of the world, and with its closed roads has come unrest and unhappiness amongst the sad and lonely people. Fidel is the ray of sunshine the town needs in its current misanthropic state. She can make friends with each of the town folks to boost their mood and her own. Watch the town transform from a solemn place to a place full of delight, all thanks to a friendly smile and a confident voice to bring the people together. Then we have another header that says break obstacles. Explore the 3 major roads that intersect at Crossroad Commune and solve the mystery that has sealed the road to further travel. Each road can be tackled in any order, whether Fidel wants to aid the forest's unrest, solve the mountain's sickness, or quell the sea's anger. She can decide which to do first or last. Gain new tools to aid in exploration. Find new paths, secrets, and shortcuts with each of the unique items to help you with your travels. Then we have another header. Build confidence. Fidel isn't always the most confident when it comes to combat. Help her gain confidence in order to cast powerful magic. Master the elements, wind, shock, fire to deal powerful blows to the enemy, stack elemental damage to ramp up your damage output, or juggle the elements to deal a fatal blow. Strategize how to use your confidence, combine equipment for unique and personalized builds, and take on tough boss fights. And then the last header here, change the game. Tailor the experience exactly the way you want it by changing many aspects of the game through game rules. Increase or decrease game difficulty by altering mechanics. Create challenge runs by disabling mechanics entirely. The game is your oyster and you're free to customize the experience until your heart is content. Replaying is encouraged. So those are the 4 headers that I have here. And you'll see that, like, the information, in my opinion, the information under each header is fairly short and concise, straight to the point. The reason I chose these headers, these are the core aspects of my game that the game has been built around. And I've also deliberately put them in this order as well, because I'm trying to, once again, this is about selling your game to people. So to me, I have purposely put the combat down here, down here as the third point. I've done that deliberately. I didn't want to put it at the top, and the reason is because I don't think turn-based combat sells very well. So I basically put these in somewhat of a hierarchy of interest. It's sort of like, I don't know. It's sort of interest, sort of just a general flow, because we start here with the maker has a mustache and glasses. No. I see what you're getting at, though. You're kind of close, but not the maker. So it starts off with like a story summary, or kind of like a story introduction. I guess I would say it's not really a summary of the story. And so to me, it made the most sense to go into making friends. But this also works very well because I do think the town building aspect, I don't want to say town building because it sounds like you can like create buildings and stuff, but the I've just called it town leveling system, the community system. I don't know. I don't have like a catchy marketable name behind it. But anyways, the whole town system that I have in my game, I do think is interesting. And so I think it makes sense to come off of the story summary here, or story introduction, into talking about something that's more related to NPCs and kind of story stuff. So not only do I think it's more interesting than probably combat, but also it makes sense to flow from this to this. Those ideas feel like related ideas. And then, because we're talking about the town having unrest and unhappiness, that leads into break obstacles, which talks about the 3 major roads that intersect. So basically we're going from like a higher point from the top of the pyramid here, going down to the town, and then this is even the way that the game is designed. From the town is sort of your central hub, and that branches out into these three routes plus one more. But this doesn't talk about the plus one more because the plus one more route is the final boss. So it goes into this. And so the flow of this makes sense. So now we're talking about the town, which will be the first thing that you experience. Then we're talking about the levels, which will be the second thing you experience. And then we're talking about the combat, which will be the third thing you experience. So, and I wanted the combat to be down here, because like I said, I don't think turn-based combat sells very well. And so I kind of wanted to downplay it. I kind of wanted to push it down into the store description. I want to put the most interesting things up front first and put the least interesting things down. Now the only thing is, I do personally really like our last one here, which is change the game rules mechanic, as I've called it. I do think that's really interesting, and I know that Fortuna and Mr. Oric will argue that it's not, but I think there are people who will find this interesting to play with. And I would put this at the top. However, as I've already said, there seems to be a flow to this hierarchy with a natural flow of like something high level with the intro down to the town, down to the levels, down to the combat. And so options just feel like, despite how interesting they are, talking about your options menu kind of goes last. So, yeah. Now, for note taking here, things that I would want to change is I don't really explain even what the combat is. At this point, it almost seems like I'm embarrassed of what my combat is because I don't really even explain what type of combat you're doing. I should probably at least say something like it's turn-based or something. So we want an improved combat description. So that's one of the things I definitely think it would benefit from. It's like achievements, only some people are interested by right. So, I also had some feedback on this. So, I do have a lot of gifs that we can all see here. And I talked about this last time, but since this video was, or in my last stream, but since this video really is supposed to sort of be, hopefully, to help some people with their store page, I'm just going to go ahead and recap some of that stuff. The reason why there's a lot of gifs here is because RPG Maker doesn't look interesting in a screenshot unless you've done a lot of custom work. Obviously, if you've done a lot of custom work, then that stuff looks good in a screenshot. But if you are using assets like I am, and your game has a fairly standard look, a fairly standard RPG Maker look to it, it doesn't look interesting in screenshots. How can you tell the difference between, this game and any other game in a screenshot? If your game looks exactly the same, sorry to pick on I know you're gonna watch this too. Sorry to pick on you, but how can I tell this screenshot here came from your game? And how can I tell, let's pick another game. How about this one? And how can I tell that this one didn't come from your game? All right, I know that's VXA RTP, but you get my point. If you are using RTP, it looks like it's basically the same game, right? So we want to see your game in motion. That's when your game is the most interesting. And so that's why I have so many GIFs. GIFs are screenshots in motions. However, I do think it would benefit to have some screenshots. So I would probably screenshot whatever the most interesting thing is that you have. If you have one area where you put a lot of custom work into the game, by the way, this is like, I would consider this like promotional art. We want screenshots of the game. Then I would have a screenshot of that. That was brought up by someone who I'd given the beta test to. They had said that they should have some. Yeah, I will. I have Premiere open right here, and I will explain that. Don't you worry about that. I'm going to get to that. So we do want some screenshots. We want some screenshots. I'm missing that. I would try to, like I already said, I would try to find whatever is the most interesting thing, the thing that looks the most unique about your game compared to any other RPG Maker game. That's the thing you want the screenshot of. Now, I have currently hired a programmer to design a HUD, a battle HUD for my game, a custom battle HUD. So this solves two problems for me, where I think having screenshots of the combat so people know that it's turn-based combat is important. That was one of the things that I added a note is we need an improved combat description. And I think having a picture to facilitate that would also help a lot. The saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So if I have custom work done to make my combat system look different than your typical RPG Maker game and not using MOG stuff, then I think that would be a huge improvement. And it'd be being honest with people too, that this is turn-based game. This is a turn-based game, but I do have some custom stuff in there as well. So I was gonna bring up a screenshot. Where is it? It's under UI, Battle UI. These are all mock-ups. This is obviously not it in my game because I designed it in Photoshop and then I just passed off the information to the programmer. Do I have it fully expanded? I don't think I have one with it fully expanded, but here's the general idea. So I could probably have a screenshot, something kind of like this. That's not showing all the text. There we go. Like that. That's what we're looking at. And so this kind of leads me on to the banners that I have, the headers between each one. So this was the HUD that I had designed. And you can see that it's using what I've called the 45 design. That's what I'm calling it, where we're using a lot of 45 degrees and like diamond shapes, I guess you could say, for the design. And that actually comes from the totally custom tile set that I made. Wow, I made a custom tile set. It's super duper mind-blowing. Yeah. It's super mind-blowing. Gonna blow your mind. Look at that custom tile set. Woo! There's some unique elements there. So, anyways, this custom tile set obviously serves the purpose of my game. I know it's very simple, and there is a reason for it being very simple within my game. And so, obviously, with this being an important part of the game, it inspired the design of the HUD element itself. So this white 45 design, 45 degree angle design, the 45 design, is based off of that tile set because, like I said, it's an important part of the game. And that design language comes up quite regularly throughout the game. And that's where I chose to do this with my banners, is being consistent with design elements between the game and the store page itself. So if you're making banners like this, I would try to make sure that the banners have a consistent design element with your game. I have the banners here in Photoshop. Now, I mean, my design's really simple to do because it's just squares. So, I mean, like... Like, if we wanted to, let's turn on this background so we can actually see what we're doing. So, like, I mean, it's really simple. Is, draw out a square. Let's create a new layer and then just fill it in, right? And then we go to transform, and we're going to transform it 45 degrees. It's a little bit big, but you get how it works. There we go. 45 degree angle. Perfect. And then, I would just duplicate that. I mean, this is for my own design, obviously. So you probably wouldn't do this unless you also are using a 45 design like I am. But the idea is taking some sort of design language from your game and trying to mimic that to the store page. So that way there's thematic consistency between the store page and your game. As for the text itself, I tried to keep it as like make friends, break obstacles, build confidence, change the game. I tried to keep it to like short, bite-sized phrases that are, I don't know, kind of have a punch to them. They're like marketable phrases. For example, make friends. To a degree, I wouldn't call this lying, but it's not entirely accurate because I feel like saying make friends might imply something like Animal Crossing or The Sims, and the system is not quite robust like that. However, it is Persona 6 designer. What do you mean by that? So like here, the whole description is talking about meeting with the townsfolk to boost their mood and stuff like that. So sort of an extrapolation of that is make friends. So there we go. The making friends. That's the idea. That's the concept behind this. And so that's why I chose those words for this header. Break obstacles. I mean, it's not always technically breaking obstacles. Sometimes you're jumping over obstacles, you know? But it works really well because you can see here in this GIF, I'm breaking an obstacle, quite literally. We're talking, it's just, again, it's just a bullet point summary of what this whole section is describing. We're talking about mysteries that need to be solved. And honestly, you know what? Going through this, there is the point of gaining tools down here to find new paths, secrets, shortcuts. And that right there is more related to the breaking obstacles part. So I would even say for this, I would put the new tools part closer to the top instead of putting it down here. So let's see, information about tools exploration, closer to top of header, something like that. Oh, oops, I haven't saved it. Oh, that's okay. When is the game coming out? Good question. I don't know. My hope is that it's going to be sometime in like spring. Hopefully at around March or April. There's still a lot that needs to be done. I have technically implemented, it's like 1 9/10 of a level, of the levels in the game. There's intended to be 3. I've been working on where most of these gifs are taken from, the cave, for like the past 4 months. And if we follow that timeline, then that would mean it would take me another 4 months to design the next level, the last level. But then there's still the like last, you know, like the final chapter, I guess you'd say. And the whole community system is like maybe 20% implemented, because a lot of it's just dialogue. And so it's not always... I don't know. I really hate doing dialogue in RPG Maker because I hate doing all the text codes and there's no spell check or anything. So there's a lot of like rechecking my text over and over to make sure there's no funky errors in the text, any typos, and there always are no matter what. But there's always some that I miss. But anyways, implementing dialogue's not fun. But anyways, I still have to implement a lot of the community system. And there's still one more level that needs to be implemented. I am hoping that even though this one took 4 months to do, also during the development of this level, a lot of systems have changed. Major balancing changes and complete changes to the combat system and stuff like that have taken place over the span of developing this level. So basically what I'm saying is a lot of time was devoted to not just developing the level, but also other stuff. So I'm kind of hoping maybe with the next level, development will go a little bit faster because I think a lot of the combat systems are like set in stone now. Typos are everywhere. Yes. Yeah. Basically, you to come back to the store page thing, you also don't necessarily need to have titles for the headers. I would personally recommend it just so because if people are like quickly scrolling through your page, just like flicking through it, then this would at least give them a quick overview of the points that you're trying to sell them on. And if any of them sound interesting, they can stop and read a little bit more. But I've seen some games just do page breaks with their headers. It doesn't necessarily have to have text. It could just, be a page break. So, yeah, I think that's really it about the headers. One thing I did mention this in the last stream, but like I said, I want to go ahead and mention this one. I kind of feel like these headers are really thick. Not only is it like literally the design, there's a lot of space between the text and the actual, the background itself. So I would also want to thin that out, but also from a design perspective for your store page, you're devoting a lot of empty space to just this. So I wouldn't really have like super fat headers, so I would want to keep them thin. All they are doing is breaking up the page into different parts. You could kind of think of them like chapters in a book. So like this chapter is about this pillar of my game's design, and this chapter is about this pillar of my game's design. What's the estimated playtime of the finished game? Well, considering it's sort of designed to be replayed, that's really kind of up to you. But if you want to go just from a single run, start to end, I would say it'd probably be about 5 to 6 hours, maybe. That's a rough guess. So obviously it's hard to say, considering, technically speaking, there's the rest of the cave that still needs to be finished, and there's one more level that needs to be implemented. So obviously I haven't play tested that and timed it, but yeah. One of the things, I might include this in my game's description, I'm not sure. I think I might put it down here in the change game section or something like that. Is that the way that it's designed is, if you want to go fight the final boss from the very beginning of the game, you can do it. There's nothing stopping you. Although you'll probably get to the final boss and die, but I'm not going to stop you. So in that sense, if you're super skilled at the game, or you use game rules to make it super easy, you could probably beat the game in about 10-15 minutes if you wanted, and miss all of the game's content. But yeah. Yep. Well, Fortuna, like I said, I really can't even say if that's for the average player or for me, because I don't know, because the game is not finished. I haven't been able to play test like from beginning to like where I've currently developed up to, because I want to finish the level that I'm currently working on. It's mostly finished. I'm like implementing like the story stuff. The story stuff always comes last. I built the game first, and then I'll add the story stuff in afterwards. And that's really what I'm doing right now with it. So I don't know. I'm thinking it will probably be 5 to 6 hours for the average player, but I don't know. I'll give you a more solid playtime when I'm closer to it being finished. Yep. Is there anything else I want to talk about immediately on the store page? Not necessarily. Yeah, not at the moment. So we can move on to the gifs. So, doing gifs, I'm using Adobe Premiere. But there are others. I think most modern video editing software will allow you to export a video as a animated GIF. I believe DaVinci Resolve, and it's actually I want to change to DaVinci Resolve myself. Let's just look this up right now. DaVinci Resolve. I believe a personal license for DaVinci Resolve is free. So can't argue with, yeah. Oh no, that's right. So it's like a neutered version of the free version of DaVinci Resolve is like neutered, but I mean, if you're just doing basic video cutting, not like color correction and motion tracking and crazy stuff like that, if you're not doing that kind of stuff, then obviously the free version is going to be totally fine. You're just going to be cutting video and rendering video, and that's pretty much it. So DaVinci Resolve is free. I actually want to switch over to DaVinci Resolve. I absolutely hate Premiere. Technically, this is a pirated copy of Premiere because I can't be fucked to pay for Adobe's expensive fucking monthly subscription. Let's see, I can finish my own game in 7.5 hours, but play, yeah, it's always going to be different, especially if there's like puzzles and stuff. Then people don't know how to solve those things or where to go. Obviously, as a developer, you know where everything is and how to do everything. So obviously, things are going to move a lot faster. So anyways, I recommend DaVinci Resolve. I'm sure it can export as animated GIFs. Let's just find that out right now, actually. You know what? We're finding out all sorts of things. DaVinci Resolve export animated GIF. How to make GIFs in DaVinci Resolve. See, how to make a GIF in DaVinci Resolve. Set the timeline resolution to 480p and a frame rate to 24 below. Add a clip to the timeline. Export the clip out of DaVinci Resolve. Oh, holy shit. Does it not actually have... Wait, does it not actually have export GIF? Hang on, that's crazy. You'd have to just render the video and bring it into some other app? Let's see. Does your workflow? No. Do you need to import? Let's see. How to import. How to make an animated GIF. It is not possible to make an animated GIF. Wow. That sucks. So, I'm sure there are a bunch of online conversion tools to convert a video to a GIF. Wow, that sucks. Critical failure. Yeah, because I like the idea of DaVinci Resolve. Like I said, I haven't tried it yet, but anyways, I suppose a lot of this information is still going to be pertinent anyways. So the main thing is with GIFs is you got to remember they are still basically videos just without the audio. So if a video file is going to be large, then a GIF is going to be large. I struggle with this a lot, so let me just, I don't know, drag a random video in here. This looks like it doesn't have any gameplay. Let's get one that has a gameplay. There we go. Just keep the existing settings, it's fine. Alright. So, this is like a playtest of the closed beta. So, let's just say this part here is the most interesting part for whatever reason. So the thing is like I said, an animated GIF is effectively just a video without the audio that you're allowed to upload like it's an image. That's the way you can think of it. And video files, as you know, are many frames and therefore are very large in file size. Most sites that allow you to upload a picture limit the size of that picture to a pretty small amount. This is one thing you'll notice with my store page. Where's the store page? That the GIFs are pretty small and relatively choppy with their frame rate as well. This one is not because, yay, data compression. The colors don't really change that much relative to GIFs compression. So I was able to actually increase the frame rate on it. Hooray! But most of the time, if you're moving around a lot, then the way that data compression works is it's constantly having to move pixels around. And when it constantly has to move pixels around, that means the file size is going to be larger. I need a GIF tutorial next time. Look, okay, here's the thing. As I'm saying, a GIF is just a video without the audio. So I'm going to teach you how to render this into a video. I'm going to show you the settings, and then you can just take it and bring it into an app. And I'll tell you what, on this stream, we will go find a trustworthy app, because there's some pretty fucking shady ones out there. We will find a trustworthy app for converting video into a GIF. That way, you can download DaVinci Resolve. You'll know how to set up what settings to set for your export, and then take that exported video and bring it into that trustworthy GIF app that we are going to find and convert it. So we will do that. So anyways, so as I was saying, we want to make sure that the GIF can fit whatever tight file size there is. For the RPG Maker forms, they limit your images to a file size of 2 megabytes, which is pretty fucking small when we're talking about videos. You're basically making a 2 megabyte video. That's pretty tough to do. For itch.io, the file size limit is 3 megabytes for a picture, which is better, but still pretty small. I don't know about Steam. I'm sure Steam has a file size limit too, but also since Steam is not open to literally everyone on the world to upload their game, they might have an even more generous file size limit for their pictures. So to keep it within 2 megabytes, which is usually what I shoot for my GIFs, so that way I can put them on the RPG Maker forms, I usually try to keep my GIF within about 2 seconds of length and not more than that. Sometimes I sometimes am able to push it, but the longer your GIF is going to be, the more frames you have to render. And those frames are going to cost you a lot in file size. So let's just say all of my interesting stuff happens up to there. So that's just a little bit over. Let's turn off the volume so we're not listening to that. So let's just say that's the most interesting part right there, which it's totally not, but we'll just say it is. I don't know why this is, but with NVIDIA Shadowplay, which is how I capture this stuff, it for some reason won't capture the game in full screen. So I will just crop in a little bit, because you can see there's the outside of my desktop, because whenever I do Shadowplay capture with NVIDIA, with RPG Maker, here are the results. That was a cat, by the way. Anyways, as you can see, it's black. I don't know why Shadowplay does that, but anyways, that's what happens if I do it full screen. So, you know, we'll crop in a little bit. This is why I hate Premiere sometimes, because I can do this and it's not reflecting in... There we go. Have to move stuff around. So, you know, crop in a little bit. It's not perfect, but it'll do. And then, now we can go into exporting it. So, I will export the video. Now, if you're going to take the video and bring it into another app to change it into a GIF, or you know what? Actually, hang on. Before we even do that, that's not the Let's go here. How about this? Instead of looking for an entirely different app, let's just find video editor that supports exporting GIFs. So Filmora does. I've tried Filmora before. I didn't really like Filmora, but if you're not that familiar with video editors, then it's probably fine. So how is Filmora? Oh, they've done a subscription model now, huh? I hate the software industry. You can no longer just own your software. No, you're going to pay us indefinitely to use your fucking software. Well, Filmora sucks, just like Adobe. All right. Let's just take Adobe and Filmora out to pasture. This is just more Filmora, but let's see what else they have. Man, don't tell me Premiere is the only one that can... Maybe Blender? Yeah, let's also not use DuckDuckGo. I don't like giving Google my data, but DuckDuckGo is a terrible fucking search engine sometimes. So, you know, it's kind of like, pick your poison. Dude, why is fucking Filmora everywhere? And then Adobe. Can you just give me a list of... Okay, so you said Blender. Let's just check Blender. Can Blender export GIFs? Let's see. Short answer, no, GIF isn't supported. Let's see. Let's see. Animate GIF is a small utility that will quickly create animated GIFs. It's a really simple interface. So this, if we go back to our original idea, this maybe is not a trusted site. Okay. Yeah, this might be a virus. Let's not go there. Never mind. All right, so the answer, no GIF isn't supported. While the encoding library FFmpeg used by Blender supports GIF encoding, it's unlikely support for this format will ever be added. The best option is to render an image sequence and assemble them in an external application. This is really trivial to do, however, and you can find some good programs or methods around the internet by doing a simple search. Yeah, that was another thing I was going to suggest as well, is that you could always export an image sequence. Now, I know for sure a lot of video editors will allow you to export image sequence, because before Premiere, I used to use Adobe Vegas. And by the way, I did own an actual license for Adobe Vegas. It's just unfortunate that Adobe Vegas became incredibly buggy software that crashed all the time on me. And also, I keep calling it Sony Vegas, but it's no longer owned by Sony. It's owned by someone else. So, yeah. I kind of stopped using Sony Vegas. Anyways, all right. So let me just show off how to do this with Adobe first. And we'll just go back to the original idea, okay? So, first of all, when it comes to, if we're actually going to just export an animated GIF, you have some options here, and I bet whatever application we find later will probably have a lot of these similar options. So first of all, the quality, that's just like the quality of the compression. If we leave it at 100%, you're going to absolutely destroy the file size. This is completely crazy, I know, but I usually drop this down to like 20%, or if I'm really trying, like if I really stretched out my GIF to be longer than that 2-second mark, and I'm really trying to crunch it down into that 2 megabytes, I might drop this down even less. I've had some bugs, and this might be a Premiere problem and not necessarily a GIF compression problem, but I've had it where if I go too low on the quality, it just renders a black image, kind of like what I was showing you earlier. I think that could possibly be a bug with Premiere or something, so I try not to go below 15 on the quality scale. So for now, we'll just leave it at 20. And then the image size itself. So you have two things that really control the size of the image, and that's going to be your resolution, file size, by the way. That's going to be the resolution and the number of frames that it has to render. Those are the two big factors to file size. So rendering this at my full desktop resolution of 1440p, stupid idea. Usually I start at a width of 400, which is going to really shrink that thing down. As I mentioned before, on my store page, you'll notice that some of these GIFs are really, really tiny. So yeah, I usually shrink it down to about 400. Sometimes I might have to drop it down even more. So the next thing is frame rate, which, like I said, your two big factors to the file size is going to be your resolution of it and your frame rate. And obviously rendering at 50 frames per second, again, that's going to kill the file size. It's going to be way too large. So I drop it down to 10 frames per second. I don't like using a half step for frame rate. Honestly, I haven't tried it. It might be okay with half steps, but I'm kind of worried of using like a half rate or half step frame rate. You might wind up with some weird interlacing issues. If we find a tool later for rendering GIFs, I hope that tool actually allows for custom frame rates instead of these presets like in Premiere, because I would rather set it to 12, not 12.5. But anyways, that's not an option, so we're going to set it to 10. That's all I have. Field order, aspect ratio, all that's going to be left alone. I don't know if those other tools will have those things either, because that's kind of more of an advanced video editor kind of thing. So the other tools probably won't have that kind of option anyways. Then after that, we'll just render it to the desktop. We'll just call this tutorial without misspelling it and just export. It won't take long. It's done. And we will take a look. Ooh. Ooh. What's going on there? So where did I rendered it to the desktop, right? No, that was, oh, I went to the stream highlights because I was, oh my gosh. All right. Gotta find it now. Stream highlights. All right, here we go. So it's 1.2 megabytes, so not bad. We could actually increase the resolution if we wanted to, or the quality. The quality, especially with like, you know, pixel-based games, honestly, there's not a huge difference in the quality. You might get some like colors that are clipping or some weird banding with gradients with lower quality, but honestly, with pixel games, you lowering it way far down, it doesn't look absolutely terrible, right? Like, quality is going to affect like colors and stuff like that, and the number of colors and stuff. And you can see there's not really any problems with colors or anything like that. So I would say leaving the quality at 20 is fine. Increasing it, it's not worth it. I would rather increase the resolution so it's not so tiny, because this is its full resolution here, which is pretty small. Although to be fair, I'm on a 1440p monitor, so it's going to look really small on my screen compared to yours if you're using a 1080p screen. So yeah, so that's just rendering out a GIF straight from Adobe Premiere. Like I said, a lot of those options are probably going to be the same for whatever software we find, which we'll find next. But if we're going to go the route of using two softwares to do this, then let's go ahead and export this as a video. Please. Premiere. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to render with H.264, which is basically the standard compression of the MP4 video format. There is H.265, but it's not as widely used, so I wouldn't recommend using H.265. Whatever software you use to render out a video might just call it MP4, and it will decide in the back what do you call that, compression method, codec, whatever, for the MP4 format that it renders to, and it will likely choose H.264. So here, it's basically going to be the same thing to render out the videos. So for the resolution, we're going to set the resolution down to like 400. For the frame rate, we're probably going to set it down to 10. You know, same thing that we had before. Field order, aspect ratio, those are going to be left the same. Since MP4 is a compressed format, you can adjust the amount of compression here with the target bitrate. I've talked about this before. Where's Tom Scott's video? I could explain what bitrate is, but there's a smarter person who can explain it a lot better than me. Let's watch a short video on what bitrate is so you can understand it a little bit better, because I brought this up before. I've mentioned it on other people's streams, on Mr. Oryx's streams, and I'm not sure if he completely understood me, but bitrate is like the quality of the video. Not the resolution, but the actual quality. And the more pixels and shit you have moving on screen, the worse shit is going to look when you have high compression. Sorry, not just Tom Scott, but bitrate, video compression, where is it? Yeah, here we go.
Have you ever noticed that video of falling snow or confetti can look pretty terrible? As soon as there's stuff floating around in the air, suddenly the quality of the video you're watching collapses. You can see it on this incredible clip of 200 kilos of confetti being blasted at Ed Sheeran on the UK's X Factor. Now, if you already understand interframe compression, you can pick another video. But everyone else, let's talk bitrate. I'm not actually in Norway, by the way, if that wasn't obvious. I could have tried to find some actual snow or bought a load of confetti, but this way, I can test things with carefully controlled digital effects, which has the added bonus that I don't need to clean up afterwards. So, to put the problem in one sentence, there are only so many ones and zeros to go around. Back in the days of analog television, video was uncompressed. The TV camera scanned a signal, it was transmitted over the air, and your television played it back. And yes, it was only standard definition, but pretty much every bit of detail the camera caught appeared on your screen. And that's fine when there are only a few television channels and they're literally going over the air. But that's really wasteful. The reason that digital television can have so many channels and that web video works at all is because of compression. If you actually try to transmit every pixel of an HD video in perfect quality, you need somewhere around a gigabit a second sent over the wire. And as I record this, that would max out over 100 average American broadband connections simultaneously, or over 50 average South Korean broadband connections. So, if you want YouTube to work, that amount of data, that bit rate, is going to need to get cut down. Step one is regular, everyday image compression. Pretty much every photo on the internet is compressed, mainly by throwing away small bits of detail that the eye probably won't notice, at least until it gets screenshotted and reposted 20 different times by 20 different Instagram accounts. You can take every individual frame of a video and apply that compression to it. Step two is interframe compression. Until a big scene change happens, why bother storing whole frames when you can only store the changes between them? After all, if I'm just talking against a plain background, you don't need to keep sending new data for that background every time. Just tell the video player to repeat what was there before. Or if I move my body a little as I talk, just tell the player to move that block of pixels a bit to the right, and maybe tweak a bit of colour here and there. That's how you cut down gigabits of video per second to something you can load on your phone. Maths. Lots of maths, but I think a practical demonstration would be better, so I'm going to limit the bitrate of this video, the number of ones and zeros per second that are being used to encode it. And yes, YouTube will mess about with this after I upload it, but it can't magically put detail back in. So, even if you're watching in the best quality you can, what you're seeing now is still the limited version. This is 200 kilobits a second, 200,000 ones and zeros going over the wire every second. Doesn't look too bad with modern encoding. You might lose some fine detail on the face or my hair or hand gestures, but you can still see what's going on pretty clearly. But now, let's add a bit of snow. And suddenly, those bits aren't all being spent on rendering me. Instead, they're also being used to track the stuff that's flying around. It's chaotic, it keeps changing direction, it's complicated, so just saying move those pixels here won't work either. Let's add some confetti too, all colourful this time. There we go. Now it's all starting to fall apart. The more stuff there is moving in the frame, more confetti, there we go. The more spread out those 200 kilobits have to be. More confetti, here we go. No matter how much the encoder tries to optimise for faces and skin tones, it just doesn't have the bits spare. More confetti, more snow. Now, even if I turn the bitrate back up, put this in the highest quality I can, it still won't look good right now. I don't know why I'm yelling, I'm adding the wind noise in later. But it's not really about the confetti itself though, it's about the movement. If we freeze all this stuff in mid-air and just make it a background, over the next couple of seconds, the quality of the video will come back. That's why the picture falls apart when your sports team wins and the confetti drops. Video, literally, isn't what it used to be.
So there we go. I always recommend that video whenever someone doesn't seem to understand bitrate or video compression, because it's a nice 4-minute succinct to the point description of what yeah, even YouTube's warning me. Oh, detected copyrighted audio? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Is it angry because I had streamed Tom Scott's video? He doesn't want me I gotta make sure. Bitrate or video. Okay. Did we let me know if you lost me because I was streamed that. It says I'm green again, so hopefully now, if there was any problems, I'm back to normal. I'll link the video down below, of course. If there was any problem with the stream, because I was just streaming the video, I wasn't even commentating over it, so, and that's a pretty big no-no, so I kind of did an oopsie just right then, but it's for educational purposes. Anyways, that was to explain bitrate. And so here, this is just adjusting the bitrate for the video. And obviously, the higher it is, the higher quality you can have with more movement. The lower it is, the less so. But also, the higher the higher the quality, the higher the file size is as well. For this, I would just say let's lower it down to like 2 or 3. We're gonna crunch it all down anyways. Saw the whole video? Okay, all right. We're gonna crunch the bitrate down anyways whenever we run it through the GIF converter thing anyways. So it doesn't matter. There is an argument to be had that having, you know, compressing from a higher quality down to a lower quality is better. So like maybe you'd want to keep it at around 5, 6, or 7. But I'm going to go ahead and just live on the edge here on the wild side and go ahead and export it at 3 megabits per second. So, yeah, I know I kind of interrupted myself with the Tom Scott video explaining bitrate and stuff. So just to kind of recap everything here, we're going to just render this video out as an MP4 with a video width of 400, frame rate of 10, and a bitrate of 3. And the resulting file is going to be just about the same size as that GIF that I just rendered out just a moment ago. You can see down here, I don't know why Premiere does this, but with an actual video file, it gives me an estimated file size of 1,224 kilobytes, sorry. which is about 1.2 megabytes. And if we look here, oh, look at that, 1.22 megabytes for this GIF. So you can see it's basically the exact same in file size. So there we go. We've rendered it out. And we have the GIF, which is 1.22 megabytes, and 327 kilobytes. What the fuck happened there? Where did those bytes go? Wait, what happened? Why did it change all of a sudden? Okay, who cares? Whatever. Let's bring it up. There it is. I have a brightening filter on my VLC player, so ignore all the jank colors. But yeah. There you go. That's basically the same quality as the GIF that I had just rendered out right here. Let's blow that up to about the same size. There you go. So, now that we have that, let's see if we can find... Not there. Let's see if we can find a... video to GIF converter. Video to GIF converter. Well, there's something from Adobe. Free video to GIF converter. Yeah, here you go. Something from Adobe. I hate to support them and their horrible fucking subscription model bullshit, but all you are is using their service and possibly giving them your data. So you just upload the video. Let's see how this works. Here you go. Does it give options? It just says file size, small, medium, or large. That sucks. So it does give you like some cropping. It'd be nice. Oh, you have to sign up. Yeah, they want your data. They want your data. If you're gonna use it for free, they need your data. Yeah, so I am gonna say that it would be nice if it provided more options for this. So let's see if we can't find a better converter. Keep that in mind, though, if you are interested in a very, very simple video to GIF converter. Seems like Adobe's thing is a great way to go, but you won't have fine control, so it might be problematic if you're trying to hit a target file size. And as I was saying, that's kind of it's kind of a big deal when you're limited to 2 megabytes or 3 megabytes wherever you're uploading the GIF. I kid you not, there's been plenty of times where I'm like really, really crunching files down to like just hit that 2 megabytes. There's been times where I've had to re-render a GIF over and over and over just to finally nail it on 2 megabytes. So, hopefully, something that gives you options to be able to hit that target better is, I think, a better choice. So let's see. ezgif sounds like a great name for a scam, but let's see what it's like. Supports MP4, so that's what we want, with a max file size of 100 megabytes. Sounds good. So let's just go here. Oops. There. I wonder if you could just drag or drop. Okay. So we do have resolution. With the video, we've already set the resolution. So that's not super important. Scam Pro. Yeah. If you rendered out the video like using DaVinci Resolve, or some other video editing software, you probably already set the resolution that for the video, so keeping the original resolution is totally fine because you've already crunched the resolution down. But if you forgot to do that, or you would just rather do it here, then I suppose this option at least allows you to change the resolution of the file size. Frame rate, yeah, it does give you 12 frames per second. All right, it gives you, I think, better choices than Premiere. I think 8 frames, like if you really, again, going down to crunching the GIF down for uploading online, 8 might be a good way to like really optimize. It's going to get really, really choppy with 8 because I feel like 10 is pretty damn choppy for, an animated GIF. But if you really need that extra megabytes, and I guess you could crunch it down to 8, and then method. You could preserve the transparency, but yeah, okay, you got FFmpeg. And you have this optimized for static background. Yeah, that would probably increase the file size, so I'd probably leave that unchecked. So this one seems okay. I do wish it would give you like a quality slider or something, but this doesn't seem the worst. Let's leave this one open for now. Let's convert, see if it asks for any data. Nope, there it is. All right, cool. And it's 1.17 megabytes. So, not bad. If we converted it to 10, what would it be? 1.44. So, yeah, you can see that you get basically 0.2 megabytes more by just reducing it down to 8 frames per second. So yeah, this option seems okay. Like I said, let's keep this one in mind. It sounds like a scam, but does the job and didn't ask you to sign up and steal your data, although it could still be monitoring your IP address, but who knows. Let's turn off ad blocker and see how cancerous it is. Do I have something else blocking ads? There may very well be something else blocking ads. Or maybe they just don't have ads. That would be really stupid. I don't know how they would keep their business open. And maybe if they don't have ads, then this is a great choice, but I would use them quickly because they might be closed in a week or so. So, all right. Let's see. Capwing, convert videos to GIF. All right, upload. All right, it's kind of silly that it has to like load the app. I don't really like progressive web apps, I think is what they're called. But hey, this is like a whole video editor. It's pretty nice. Yeah, okay. So, oh yeah, you even have audio options too. So I think this is just like an online video editor. Maybe this is a good choice then. If this is like an online video editor, then, you can, yeah, you can trim. You can probably cut as well. Okay. Maybe not. I don't know. Smart cut. It does have a smart cut feature in there. I don't know. This might be an interesting tool to... Oh, there we go. S. Hey, that's just like Vegas. So yeah, there you go. You can cut. So maybe this is a good tool right here for just doing it all in one place. So you just capture the video using OBS, or if you have a NVIDIA card, then you can just use Shadowplay, and then just bring it into this. And then let's see what kind of options it has for export. Okay, but there is a flaw with it. It's going to be watermarked. That sucks. Export as a GIF. Doesn't give you... It just gives you a slider for the... And it seems like it won't let me... Oh. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's not even a slider. That's a switch at this point. Ah, Capwing. There's so much hope for you. No. No, 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 no. See you later. Let's try free convert, which also sounds like a scam to me, but whatever. We'll give it a try. So we'll drop it in there. Get some trimming like a lot of them do. You have frame rates. All right. In whole integers from 1 up to 30. So you can pick anything between 1 and 30. Pretty nice. So you can optimize even more if you need, if you'd still want to strike that balance between really choppy video and not so choppy video, but you don't want it super choppy like 8, but you still need some more megabytes. So 10 is a little bit too high frame rate there. Then you could even go 9. There you go. And then you can pick your width for it. Is there anything else? No. So there is. So it's kind of disappointing. A lot of these don't have like some sort of quality slider. So I have a feeling that a lot of these are going to be that way. You don't even get the quality slider. You're basically going to be limited to your frames per second and your resolution. And they're going to choose whatever quality they want. I'm sure it's not full 100% quality. Even on their highest setting, it might be like maybe 70% on the highest setting. This one doesn't even give you a setting. So let's just... What do you mean, can't... what? I don't know, just... Huh? It's like, okay, 2 seconds there. It's kind of slow. I feel like this one was much faster. And it's weird that it doesn't just give you a preview. Yeah, I feel like I'm downloading a fucking virus. Alright. Let's put it here. It says it's a GIF. Okay, so... Yeah. Ooh, my goodness. Oh, they did some dithering on it. Okay, that's interesting. I think it's dithering, or is it just super low quality? I think they did some dithering, which dithering is... I kind of like how it looks, but it does completely destroy the quality of the video. Dithering is useful if you have a very low quality GIF. Then dithering kind of creates a more like... It kind of softens how ugly low quality stuff is. Like, it's still low quality, but it doesn't look as terrible with dithering. It looks fake high quality, which is what you're getting here. You can see like these little pixels and patches, like random noise, which is usually how dithering is applied. Is it's usually random noise to that's like added into the render of itself to, I don't know, whatever. You read up on dithering. I don't know how to fucking explain it. Anyways, I think so far this one here, ezgif.com, seems to be the best and sounds like a scam. Not that this one sounds any better. But seems to work. So I don't know. I'm going to say go with this one here. And DaVinci Resolve is free. So download DaVinci Resolve. Download DaVinci Resolve. And I would say my personal recommendation with the GIFs is to set up the video file. You're going to be exporting as an MP4. But set up your MP4 file as if it's a GIF. And then that way, when you go to a GIF converter, it's basically drag and drop, and you don't really need to adjust any of the settings here. So once again, to just go over that one more time, we'll export as an MP4 and set up the width to whatever you want. We want to keep it small though. I set up to 400. You might, this file has been pretty small in size, so I could probably increase that up to 500. Let's just do that just for fun. Why not? Let's increase the resolution up to 500. And then set the frame rate to whatever you want. Keep it low, though. I recommend 10. And set the bitrate settings. I'm actually going to set this down to 2, honestly. And wow, that really decreased the estimated file size a lot. So, and then just export. And there we have it. Which one was it? I don't know. Probably, I don't know. That one? This one. This is the one. Because it's slightly larger. Ever so slightly larger. All right. Well, class, do you have any questions about rendering a GIF? I'm going to close out of that. And I guess I'll link this. I'm gonna throw all of these in my notes here. So there's that, and we're gonna link DaVinci Resolve. Let's put that above this one. And also Tom Scott's video on bitrate. I've already closed out of that, haven't I? Okay. Tom Scott, bitrate. What about GIF post-processing? What the fuck are you talking about?
Have you ever noticed?
Shh. All right. There was, I mean, I guess you could consider dithering a post-processing effect for GIFs, but as you can see, there's no dithering applied to my GIFs here. So, yeah. Like opening Gimp to change the... I guess you mean GIF parameters? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, like, if you want to do anything more to the GIF to either crunch the file size down some more, then I'm going to leave that up to you, basically, because I don't really do that. The steps that I've just shown you, technically, you know, obviously I don't do the video. I don't do the make the video, then bring it into a separate app. Because obviously Adobe Premiere just allows me to render straight to a GIF. But effectively what I'm doing, rendering straight to a GIF, is basically the same thing, but just with less steps. And that's what I upload, is I just, you know, edit the video in Adobe Premiere. You know, I cut it down to the length that I want, and then I render it out as a GIF, and that's what I upload, assuming that I actually hit the target file size. Because obviously if it's too large, then I can't upload it. Maybe it works changing the parameters in Gimp. I don't know if you mean like after rendering out the GIF and then bringing it into Gimp to change the parameters. I don't use Gimp. I used to use it a long time ago before I owned Photoshop, but I own Photoshop. I have owned Photoshop for a while, so I just use Photoshop instead of Gimp. So I don't know what you could do to it at that point. One thing that was brought up when I was kind of like flipping through some of the, not these, but when I was looking at, I think there was like a Stack Overflow thing that I had brought up. One of the people had mentioned bringing an image sequence into Photoshop. I assume you could probably do the same thing with GIMP, is just bring an image sequence into GIMP to render an image sequence as a GIF. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I got that now. I don't know why you would. Maybe you can. I mean, I guess, like, yeah, if you rendered out the video, you converted it here, and it's still just barely too large of a file size, then I suppose you could then bring it into Gimp to see if you can adjust the quality of the GIF to kind of reduce the file size a little bit more. God, that's a lot of steps. That's 3 fucking steps for your GIF. Technically, it's kind of 4 also, right? Because you have to record the gameplay first, right? That's the first thing you need to do. And I haven't even been talking about that. This whole time we've just sort of assumed you already have the gameplay recorded. So I guess we could call that step 0 is recording the gameplay. And then step 1 is, step 1 is bringing your gameplay into a video editor, cutting it up into about a 2-second clip, and rendering it out as a video of a small file size, small resolution, low frame rate, low bit rate. And then taking that small video, bring it into an app to convert the video into a GIF. And then now what you're talking about is taking the rendered GIF and bringing it into another app to change the quality of the GIF to try to get a little bit more, or to try to reduce the file size down even more. Now, I get it. Like I said, I've spent long periods of time just really trying hard to crunch a GIF down into the tiny file size. I get it. Just even like 0.1 megabyte is like, come on, man, come on. Like, but I don't know. Is it worth doing another step to really crunch it down when you could maybe just optimize it more in either the video render or the GIF render here? Like here, what I would almost recommend doing, if you are afraid that your GIF is going to be too large for that file size, then what I recommend is when you're rendering the video out, render it at a slightly larger resolution than what you think is. Recommend software for each step. Come on, man. All right. I will. Hang on. So what I recommend, not the software, what I recommend doing is, if you are afraid that you're not going to hit that 2 megabyte limit after rendering out the video and then converting it to a GIF, then what I recommend doing is render the video slightly larger than the resolution that you think is going to make you hit that target. So like I said, I usually shoot for 400 as the width. So maybe you should go for 600. So that's going to be slightly larger than what you think the target is. Then, when you bring it into this GIF converter, you can set the resolution here. So you can start at 600 and change the frame rate to whatever you want, render it out. Is it 2 megabytes? If yes, then you're good to go, no problem. If no, you still have more resolution to play with. You can lower it down to 500. And then render that out. Is it now within the 2 megabyte limit? If yes, good to go. If not, then lower it down again to 400. Hopefully by then, hopefully you've hit that target. So hopefully once you hit 400, you'll be within the 2 megabyte target that we're talking about. Just remember, if you want to hit the target, what I usually shoot for is a 2-second long GIF with 10 frames per second, 400 width for the resolution. Yeah, and that will get me there. Also, I adjust the quality, but obviously you don't have that. So just when you render out the video, I would say reduce the video quality to like 2 or 3 megabits per second. So there you go. Anyways, all right, fine. For the archive, recommending software for each step, let's include step 0 in that. OBS for recording your desktop. OBS is, for a first-time user, is maybe a little bit confusing to set up. I would show you how to set it up. However, I'm currently using OBS, so I can't really do that. But OBS is like the go-to software for video recording and live streaming. So I can promise you there are probably a ton of videos out there on how to set up OBS for beginners, for like game capture. So if you don't know what to do, then I would recommend watching one of those. I'll bring this over here. I can like mess around with some stuff, just to kind of like show it off. So like you have your scenes and your sources. So you have to have a scene first. So you just right click, add a scene, scene 4, just like that. And then you need a source. So you need to know what to capture. Good, it's still capturing my audio. So then you just add, you can't see this. So let's switch over to here. So let's pretend this is a new scene, right? And we'll just click add. You can display capture is usually what I do. You can add a display capture, which is just going to capture your whole desktop. Or you can add a window capture, which you can specify what it is that you want to capture. So we'll just call this example. And I can specify what window do I want to capture. We can capture Notepad. There we go. Wow, so exciting. Look at that Notepad. Woo, yeah. That's a thrilling Notepad for you right there. Woohoo. So anyways, you get the idea. So it's pretty easy to set up. Just add a scene and then add a source. And then click record. And you're good to go. Let's just turn that off for now. So there you go. Short tutorial on OBS. So OBS is free. Even though OBS is really common software, fine. I'll add it to the links that we have here, OBS. And I'll include the link to OBS in the description down below, even though you could easily just Google it. OBS. So OBS is going to be... oh, okay. All right. Hang on. Okay. So there you go. I've added it to the list there. So for step 0, game capture, you're going to need OBS. Or if you have a NVIDIA graphics card, you have Shadowplay. I think starting from the 500 series, like GTX 500 from many years ago, they added Shadowplay to your graphics card. So as long as you have a GTX 500 or above, which, I mean, GTX 500 is pretty damn old at this point now, then you should be okay if you have a NVIDIA graphics card. I also think that AMD also has something similar to NVIDIA Shadowplay as well. Obviously, I don't have an AMD graphics card, so I can't tell you what that's called. But usually they have some sort of overlay. How do I open it up? I think it's Alt F9 for my... I don't know. And I'm afraid if I start pushing weird key combinations... Windows plus G is bad. I don't know what that is, but I don't want to push it. I'm not going to push random hotkeys here. Hey, there we go. There you go. More fairies for you. There's some fairies. This one kind of looks like a Pikmin with... I was going to say those are legs, but actually it kind of looks like a mushroom stalk. I don't know. There you go. One of these is you, probably. What was I talking about? I don't know. Oh yeah, I was talking. I don't know how to bring up the NVIDIA overlay. It's something. But it doesn't matter. Who cares? Yeah, if you have an AMD graphics card or you have NVIDIA, I'm sure you have some sort of screen recording thing built into your graphics card that you could use. Or you can just use OBS, which of course, like I said, it's going to be linked down below. And then for video editing, I recommended DaVinci Resolve. There is a paid-for version of it, but you don't need to get the paid-for version. The paid-for version comes with a bunch of pro features, such as motion tracking and some color correction stuff and whatever else. I don't know. But if you're just talking about like cutting video and cutting and cropping video, some very basic, very basic editing stuff, then the free version of DaVinci Resolve is totally fine for that. Next we have this ezgif tool that we just found here live on stream, which is going to be linked down below, and that will convert to the GIF for you. And then, fuck it, why not? Let's throw Gimp into the whole mix as well. So let's just find Gimp. Gimp is an image editing software. I haven't used it in a long time, but a lot of folks use it. So whatever, it's free and it's linked down below. And so maybe you can do something with Gimp. Fortuna was suggesting like doing post-processing on the GIFs with Gimp. I think that's unnecessary, but whatever. You're now set up with something for every step of the way. And also, the link down below is going to be Tom Scott's video on bitrate. Even though we streamed the whole video during this stream and watched the whole thing, bookmark it. And next time someone talks about using 4K but doesn't know dick all about bitrate, you can show them this video and say, it doesn't matter if you use 4K if your bitrate sucks, because you might have 4K resolution, but if your bitrate is garbage, it's still gonna look like garbage. I'm the pro, I should know. I don't even know what you're talking about. For AMD, look, you're sending me on like all sorts of weird quests here. All right, fine. Let's see, AMD graphics card video capture. I could probably just call it shadow play, like Relive. There we go. Radeon Relive requirements. So you need any of these. Radeon Relive is currently supported on systems with AMD Graphics Core Next architecture based on desktop graphics. These include Radeon RX Vega series, Radeon RX 500 series, Radeon RX 400 series, Radeon Pro Duo, Radeon R9 Fury, R9 300, R7 300, all these you can see there. So there you go. If you're using an AMD card, there's the information for you right there. All right. Any other weird quests you want to send me on? What else am I missing? And let's remove Adobe Express. We don't want that there. Tom Scott, we're finished with you. OBS, we're finished with you. This one's pretty much finished as well, and so is DaVinci. All of those have been linked down below, so it doesn't matter anymore. Now, back on the topic of the... Who needs Cora when there's NA? Yeah. No, who needs Cora when you have fucking a search engine? Although if you use a search engine, you might just get Cora anyways. There you go. God, it's kind of horrifying. They don't really look like pixies. They vaguely look like dead insects on like a... What is it called? Like a light plate or something? Something that you would like, a backlight, basically. I mean, I guess those could be pixies only based on the color. I'm still seeing dead insects. And plants. Kind of like plant, actually. This is getting a little bit closer because it's kind of like a dress-like shape that you have going on. This was more speaking Michael Jackson to me. It's like Michael Jackson and like a shadow there. Or a reflection or something. Anyways. I swear there's more things I had critique of my own store page that I wanted to adjust, but I don't know, I don't remember it. It's funny because I've been thinking about this shit like all day, what I'm gonna say on the stream, and then as soon as I start streaming, I don't remember any of this stuff. That's why I sometimes like put that like bullet points down in a text document and then have, you know, jank text on my OBS reminding me to look at my document to remind me of my points I want to talk about. I didn't do that this time. I thought I would just keep them all up in my head, and obviously that didn't work. So, oh well. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about. We've gone over gifs and all that. You know, I mentioned that how I came to these points that I've written, and the headers, and how to make a GIF, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I brought up some other stuff here, just like for my store page. Oh, I'm recording. It is Alt F9. That's not for the overlay. That's for the shadow play. That was the thing I was talking about. NVIDIA cards can do. Alt F9 is my hotkey for that. So just record the stream while I'm recording the stream while I'm streaming the stream. Yeah, it's fine. I did bring up some of my other Photoshop projects here. Just I don't know. Like, this is kind of special to just my project, but like I have my own promotional art that I had commissioned, of course. Let's put a background on this so we can just like see it a little bit better. So, you know, my artist Simone had drawn this for me. So obviously I have the Photoshop file that she gave me for this, and so when it came to like designing some of the other stuff, like the banner, and you don't see this because you just see the store page, but there's also like a thumbnail, I guess, for games, and you can see that here. It's very small, but it's there. You can see that thumbnail is there, which was also using the same art. So if you have the art on a transparent background like this, it allows you to obviously move it around and reposition it and do stuff with it to create like promotional images and whatever. And I've talked about this before in the past, but I haven't brought it up in quite some time. I definitely recommend having lots of promotional images as well. I would even say going as far as creating a press kit, which would just basically be like a zip file filled with lots of promotional images, and anything else that you might use for marketing material, just like in a zip folder that anyone can download. I would recommend that. I don't have that for any of my games, but if you do that, people who are doing like YouTube and stuff, like whenever I try to create a thumbnail, what I have to do, let's see, can I find my thumbnail folder? Let's use the stream highlight thumbnail template. Shut up. So like what I have to do, and actually this is perfect that it opens up on this was the last thumbnail that I was making. This is a perfect example of why it would be nice if you include a lot of promotional material with your game as well. For people who are doing YouTube or whatever, they may want to include screenshots of your game or even promotional stuff for the thumbnail of their own video. And so making it easy for them to access that information, I think, is very beneficial. And it's more than likely going to be a YouTuber if anyone's going to talk about your game. But there are other scenarios as well, such as other like blogs or stuff that may want to have access to promotional materials that you use for your game. So, like, if I have to design a thumbnail, like, for example, this one, Die to Live, the reason why the background just says RTP, 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 RTP is because the screenshots suck. And there's nothing, like, there was no good screenshots. There's very few screenshots and nothing I could use as promotion. We don't want to go to there. We want to go to here. Here. So, like, you have this thumbnail here. And actually, this is another reason why it might be good to have screenshots as well. I didn't even think, I forgot to mention this. Like, the flaw here with my page of just having GIFs is that for anyone who does want to make a thumbnail, well, you can't really use GIFs. Just gonna make a press kit full of fairy pictures. Oh, thanks. You can't really use GIFs in your thumbnail, right? You need a static image for the thumbnail. So that's why just regular screenshots is good. And that's where the problem is with Die to Live. Now, I could, if I wanted to, download these GIFs and extract an interesting frame from them for the thumbnail. But I'm not putting that much work into promoting your game. So I'm not going to do that. So because they didn't have any pictures here, I just had to go with this background that I made of just repeating RTP, 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 RTP in the background. You know, I kind of think this is a pretty striking thumbnail. So I don't think it's a terrible thumbnail design. It's not the best, but, you know, for what it is, I guess it's fine. But this is why I suggest is if making a lot of different promotional art. So people who might be YouTubers or bloggers or journalists or whatever, anyone who needs to use your promotional material can have access to your promotional material for their own stuff to help promote your game, right? It is promotional material. That's why you've designed it. So you might as well make sure people can access it easily. So you can see here, I've just basically taken this art that Simone had designed for me and just made different versions of it. Like we have this one here and the thumbnail there for the itch page as well. So, and it's all just using the same design. It's all fairly basic stuff. If you have any sort of custom art, which I would actually recommend, at the very least, getting some sort of like cover art or main menu art or whatever, at least getting that much designed for your game, I think would go a long way, because that thing that you get designed for your game acts as a like front piece promotional piece for your game. I repeated piece way too many times, but you know what I'm saying. I didn't drink that much today. I'm not drunk enough to speak coherently. That's not how that works. So, anyways, yeah. Normally what I have to do for a game, so like, let's take, for example, Faded Blue. So I already designed the thumbnail for this one, so I'm not going to do the same design. I really think that this main picture right here is pretty captivating, so I just went with that one. But I also wanted to use like this one here, so I'll just grab that picture and just drop it in here. And then I will go find another picture that I think is interesting that might catch other people's attention. That's normally what I'm looking for, something that's going to catch other people's attention. That can read easily in a thumbnail. Because, like, I kind of like this. The forest looks really nice, but I don't know how well this would read easily in a little thumbnail. So this one might be pretty good. I think that one can read pretty well. There's a lot of contrast and different colors going on. So that one's a pretty good one, as well as this one, just because obviously you have a big character portrait right there. So, but let's use this one just for the hell of it. So we'll grab that one. So normally this is how I design my thumbnails. And this is just for your own education. This is how another YouTuber might do it as well. So I'll just grab those. I'm going to expand it a little bit and put it right there at about the halfway mark. And same thing for this one. And expand it. We want to make sure that we have the interesting things in frame. So like this moon and sun, very interesting. So we really want to make sure that those are in the borders of the thumbnail. And then I'm going to move those. Oops. Move those right below the borders, just like that. And there we have it. That's normally how I might design a thumbnail. Sometimes I kind of do a feathering between them. I would need to make one of these much larger. So just for that example, let's make this one. Or I can just scoot this over like this. So it kind of overlaps a little bit. And then I would just take my erase tool and just like that. Kind of feather it in between so it kind of has a fade. Sometimes I do that as well if I'm feeling extra spicy. Yep. So that's how I would design a thumbnail, and that's why because that's how I do it, that's why you should consider having good promotional stuff for your store page. So to recap some of the points that we've gone through, since it's been a little bit over an hour, I think it's been almost 2 hours at this point, right? Yeah, an hour and 51 minutes. So to recap some of the major points, so your store page is serving two purposes, or needs to serve two purposes. Number one, it needs to catch people's attention. So make sure that your store page catches people's attention. Number two, make sure your store page is selling people on your game. That's one of the things that you got to make sure that it does. This is a point I didn't actually mention very clearly throughout the stream, is that this is going to sound really scummy, but like, kind of ham up your stuff. If you have something that's really interesting, make sure you're really selling that thing. And I wouldn't say it's being dishonest, but at the same time, don't downplay it as well. You know, don't just give it very neutral. Say, make it sound exciting, you know? It's not necessarily being dishonest. I shouldn't think of it as being dishonest, but sometimes it might feel like you're being dishonest. But you need to sell people on it. And usually selling doesn't happen very well when you're just kind of about this. When you're like, oh my god, dude, right? That's way more captivating to people. And that's going to make people go like, oh my gosh, I need to see that for myself. You should be, to make sure that you're able to sell your game to people, is you got to remember that they have a limited attention span. They're going to be flicking through your store page pretty quickly. So keep your information concise and punchy. Like I have with my store page. I think if you were to remove the headers, there's still a pretty good chunk of information here, but it's probably actually even less information than... What do you mean on it? What are you talking about? All right. I think it's even less information than what's on this page here. Right? yeah. It's the oldest debate in the universe. Is it GIF or GIF? It's GIF. That's how I pronounce it. If you pronounce it GIF, I'm not gonna kill you over it. I'm not gonna harass you about it. I pronounce it GIF. Deal with it. Because it's so inconsequential. Who gives a shit? As long as we understand each other, that's the most important part, right? So, selling the gap. Selling the game. I think you mean the game? I don't know. Or the gap. It could be both. Selling the gap. Yeah, I think my points are pretty concise and to the point. Selling the game is the worst part, yeah. Here's the thing. Think about what's exciting about your game, right? What is interesting about your game? What is the thing that made you want to make that game in the first place? See, I kind of feel like my own game is kind of at a disadvantage here. Because here's the thing. Oh, Fortuna, can you do your thing? Oh my god, they are really, really pushing it. Fortuna, please do your thing. I've given you this power for a reason. Use it. Exercise your power. I want to see it happen. I'm waiting for you to... Don't make me do it. God, there's the stream delayed too. Alright, do I need to do it? Alright, I'll do it. Let's see, remove. You're on your phone. Alright. You do not have moderating tools on your phone. Alright, anyways, to get back on subject. So, here's the thing. Like, there's got to be a reason why you made your game. And that's the thing that you... Yeah, it's already gone because I just deleted it. There's got to be something that you that made you want to make the game in the first place, and that's probably the thing that got you excited about making the game is probably the thing that you want to sell people on. You were excited about making this game, so basically tell people why you were excited to make that game. It's kind of what it comes down to. It's kind of funny with my game is that I don't have that premise to start with. Is kind of the irony to this game. This game that I'm making now originally started as like basically a tech demo. I wanted to do slightly something more advanced than my previous game. Like if my previous game is vanilla RPG Maker, right? That's what this was. Is when I made my first RPG Maker game, I set out to not do anything beyond what is in the box of RPG Maker. I didn't use any plugins at all. And that was the whole attempt. It was just to learn how to use RPG Maker and make a game. Not even a good game, just make a game. And that was this. So when I had finished this game, I wanted to make another game, and I wanted to just test some more stuff. Now I wanted to test out plugins and some of the more advanced features of RPG Maker, I guess you could say. And that's how my game started, is I have my magnum opus game that's like lofty and ambitious and, well, let's face it, will probably never happen. Here in my head canon here of how that I want that to go. And there are some concepts of it that I wanted to test out. Like, how interesting is this if I implemented this into the game? And coincidentally, some of those mechanics that I wanted to do into my magnum opus, some of them I can do in RPG Maker. They're not complicated things. That they're pretty simple to set up. And that was how this game started. Is what got me excited about this game was, boy, I can't wait to learn how to make a game. Which is not an exciting premise to sell people on, obviously. So I would say I started at a disadvantage on how to make a sales pitch. However, obviously, as time has gone on since then, I have had interesting things that I've been excited about, which is why I can talk about them here. I will admit, the making friends thing was kind of one of the mechanics from my magnum opus dream game that's never going to happen. That was the thing that I wanted to test in this game. So coincidentally, I guess I didn't even think about this, but yeah, that's the first thing on the list here that I'm selling. And coincidentally, this is kind of the premise that this tech demo was built around. So I'm just saying, like, I don't know, I feel like I had started off with a disadvantage on how to come up with the sales pitch for my game. But I still managed to eventually find things that I'm excited about that I can tell people about. And I think that's for you if you are excited about whatever it is that made you want to make your game in the first place. Then you can tell people about that. And hopefully it's more than just one thing. So you can break it down into multiple parts. Because I do think if you have just one simple core concept, this is very opinion based. So don't take this as like gospel. But I feel like games are not as interesting when they're so focused on a single mechanic. Those are kind of like really classic games, like going back to like Atari, where they're basically arcade games. They do one thing and they do one thing well, and they have nothing at all, zero anything else besides them. Not even story, right? Hopefully your game is beyond that. Hopefully it has a couple of different parts to it that can sell itself. So if one thing isn't interesting to a person, then maybe the other parts can be interesting to someone. I think a good recent example, funnily enough, just kind of came out. Marvel's. Why do I keep going to DuckDuckGo? We want to go to YouTube for this one. Let's go to Skill Up because he just did the review on it. Skill Up. Midnight Suns, that's the name of it. So, like, I think this is, like, a good example of...
60 hours...
Oh my gosh, that is loud in my headphones. So...
Firaxis has delivered authentic renditions of these characters as they exist on the battlefield. Even though I'm playing cards, I still feel like I'm controlling a character that is
talk about
my own, perhaps focusing more on AoE attacks, who have managed to recreate this character so faithfully as he exists in combat. The same cannot be said for the way Firaxis have brought these characters to life on the other side of the game. If the principal success of the gameplay lies in a faithful recreation of these characters, then the principal failure of the narrative side of this game is that it fails categorically, catastrophically, to render a version of these heroes that feels at all authentic or interesting or anything other than insufferable.
So yeah, like, I think this is a good example of what I was just talking about, where if you have multiple parts to your game, then if one thing falls flat, either just it wasn't well developed or it's just not interesting to the player themselves, then the game can still be good because of the other parts. And that's basically, I just brought this up because I think it's a good example that just came out. This is a brand new game that just released where, I mean, not that Skill Up's word is the final word, the end-all be-all on games. There might be some people who enjoy the social aspect to Marvel's Midnight Suns, but for the most part, a lot of Skill Up's reviews, I tend to resonate with his opinion. So, not that I've played this game, but from what I can tell is I would probably agree with him on a lot of this stuff, where the gameplay itself, the moment-to-moment combat is fun. He really loves it, right? But then on the other hand, the other half of this game is this whole like social side, like this Fire Emblem like dating thing kind of thing. And it's not good. But because the other part of this game is so good, he still likes the game. So, and that's just what I'm saying is that you can have a part of your game that sucks, that people might not be interested in, but if you have multiple parts to your game that you can tell people about, then they can either overlook it or whatever it may be. They might be more interested because there's more on offer to them that may interest them. It's also where game rules comes in handy because you can, if you don't like the whole community thing, you can make it really simple to not have to engage with the community very much at all. So, anyways. Yeah, now that I've been streaming for like 2 hours. I don't know if there's anything else I want to do this stream. I feel like I kind of covered everything, and I've already recapped too. So that's pretty much like everything that I should cover in the stream. I was going to show off maybe some stuff that's going on in my game, but I'll save that for next time. I am thinking about going ahead and putting in the RPG Maker forums, the games in development section. I did think about putting my game into there, submitting it to that. Actually, that was one more thing I wanted to talk about, is why I haven't put it there. And that's mostly just because, like, there's a number of different reasons, honestly. I do think that a lot of excitement around games is kind of all about timing as well. And so part of it is just that I don't want to announce something so early that people forget about it, right? I just suppose the nice thing about posting games in development on a forum is that you can constantly bump it up to the top if necessary. But the way that I would like to do it is probably just post it once as a game in development and then leave it there until it's complete, unless there's something I really feel necessary of making a new post in my thread about it. But that probably won't happen since there's not like a public release of the game. So it's not like I could announce changes or anything. Then just the other thing as well is that I just want to make sure that it's a game that does get finished. At this point, I'm pretty confident that it is because I've spent money on it. And I don't just mean like spent money as in buying assets, but I mean I have hired people and have spent a lot of money on those people to do work for this game. So when you've made those, yeah. So at this point, considering how much money I've dumped into making this game happen, I'm pretty sure that it's actually going to get finished. So, yeah. But the other thing is you know, I frequently do get asked, like earlier, when the game is going to be released. I've been asked that surprisingly a few times now, and it's just hard to say because I don't know. Obviously, I'm the only developer on it. I'm not beholden to any sort of publisher on its release, and I have other things besides just game development. I have a day job. I kind of technically actually have 2 jobs that I have to attend to that are not game development. So it's like I can say hopefully within 4 months my game will be finished or mostly finished, but there's literally no guarantee, not even like a small % chance guarantee that I could give that will happen. So that's just always my worry about posting something out there, is that I don't have an answer for when it will be released. There is no answer to that question. I'm going to shoot for March or April, but that is very likely not going to happen also. Like, it's very likely that it will happen and also very likely that it won't happen. It's a 50-50 chance. So, yeah. I don't know. I suppose I will go ahead and submit that to the forum, though. That was actually something I kind of wanted to do on stream, is like setting that up. But at this point, it doesn't matter. If there's any delay, fairies will be haunting me. I didn't know you were excited for the game, but all right. Well, we'll have to see. I'm also kind of worried about, at this point, this we'll just consider the stream over. This is now just chatting, I guess, at this point. One thing I'm kind of worried about that may be a delay that I have zero control over is actually my programmer. I don't want to make this sound like I'm disparaging him. He sounds like he really knows what he's doing when it comes to programming. As a general, like, computer science kind of understanding. However, it also seems like he's not very familiar with RPG Maker's JavaScript library, or whatever you want to call it. And so I trust that he will get it done. However, the timeline that he told me on getting the work done, I have a feeling is not going to be met. So we'll have to see. And that's kind of like totally out of my control. Hopefully it won't take him like 4 months though. Because his timeline was, like, even if he was late, his timeline was still only like 2 months, I think, on the development. So even if he's late on that, let's just say 3 months, hopefully it wouldn't go into 4 months. We'll have to find out. So that is one thing that's totally out of my control. As for the actual development itself, I mean, there's good news and bad news. I think I talked about this before in one of the previous streams, but like, I hate Japan, man. I hate this fucking country. So, my job as an English teacher here, generally the way that it goes is that there's some lucky foreign staff. It's not like this for everyone. In fact, at one point a long time ago, I used to be one of those foreign staff, but not anymore. But most foreign staff that are English teachers here tend to work 3/4 of the year, and then at the end of the school year, which, by the way, here in Japan, the end of the school year is in March, because the new school year begins in April. So by the end of the school year, usually the foreign staff are let go because they're basically temp contract workers. And then they are let go until the next school year, but not right away. They don't usually start working at the new school year until probably about summer. So basically for all of spring, they're jobless. And then the Japanese government wonders, why do all of our foreign staff leave the fucking country? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because they don't have any fucking money to last for a whole quarter of the year. They don't have a job for a quarter of the year. Anyways, this is a rant. I hate it because this is the third year. This is going to be the third year in a row I've had to go through the same bullshit again, where I work a job, and because I'm just temp staff, it doesn't matter how good my work is. They don't give a shit. At the end of the year, I'm let go, and I spend another quarter of the year jobless until I find a new job. And I already know that this job that I'm currently working they've already confirmed basically that I don't have a contract for next year, so I will have to go through the same process I've done for the past 3 years, and that is just start looking for a job, which I am. But as things usually go, I probably won't find a job before I lose this job that I have now. And one thing that makes it difficult too, I don't want to make it sound like it's completely dry on jobs over here. It's not entirely. The one challenge is, though, I did mention that I have like other work that I do, another job that I do. And that other job that I do sometimes makes it difficult to be able to find a job that doesn't conflict with that schedule. So, yeah, anyways. Point is, at least that I have that other job that I have, it doesn't pay a lot, but at least it does pay. So when I don't have a job during spring, I'm still falling into debt, but I'm not falling into debt as fast as I would, you know. But this is the point of me saying this is that I will be jobless, and that sucks. But if there's any silver lining to it, is I'll have a lot of free time, so I'll be able to work on my game. I won't have any money to hire anyone, so I hope all my commission work is finished by that point because I can't pay anyone to do anything else. Which sucks because I wanted to hire Simone to do like a lot of like CG art. I'm going to spoil this right now, which may disappoint some people. I would love to have CG art in her style like at key moments in the game, but I kind of see that as like superfluous. Like it's not necessary to make a good game. It's just charming, that's all. And unfortunately, I'm not going to have the money to be able to pay her to do art like that. So, oh well, I'm paying her to do the art that I need for the game, and that's really it. I'm not ignoring you, V-Ski. To answer your question, I don't think I'm going to sell it on itch. I might. I don't have like PayPal or anything set up on itch. I don't know how complicated it is. It's always, here's the thing, right? I hope to sell it on Steam, but even that might not happen. Because here's the problem. I'm sort of in this weird middle ground of citizenship because I'm not a permanent resident of Japan. In order to get permanent residency here, either I need to be married. I'm working on that one, but that one's slow. Or I need to have lived here for 10 years. I'm almost at that point. But I'm not there yet. I'm in February. I will start my 7th year in Japan. So getting close to 10 years, but not quite there yet. So I'm not a permanent resident. But on the other hand, so I am still an American citizen. But I don't have an American phone number or an American address. And so anytime there's financial transactions that are happening, you usually need some sort of permanent address or a phone number or something like that. Or I need the proof of citizenship of my current residence, which would be Japan, but I'm not a permanent resident here. So I don't have proof of that here. So it's like I don't have a permanent address in America, and I don't have a permanent citizenship here. So it's kind of like I'm in this middle ground, which complicates anything financially related. So I'll have to look I'm looking into Steam's thing right now. I think it shouldn't be a problem. They seem to be set up to handle this kind of thing. They're set up, this is surprisingly rare, but they are set up for people to live abroad. Wow, go figure. People actually live abroad. Who would have thought? But yeah, like other companies, other websites and stuff like that. Like if you live in an entirely different country, sometimes their system is just not set up to handle like this nationality being in an entirely different nation. So, but Steam itself, like obviously I buy stuff in yen, but everything's in English. They're totally fine with me being an American national, buying stuff off of their store in Japan. So yeah, I think setting up my Steam developer account is going to be fine. I haven't completely confirmed that yet, but I think it'll be okay. But the same thing needs to happen with itch as well. I have to confirm that they're able to, like, I can do it as a, yeah, as you put, Fortuna, as a nationless citizen. I we'll have to find out. Yep. We'll see. The one thing is about... I guess it doesn't really matter, honestly, does it? So one thing that does get me is that I think the fees on... What does itch take? What is the percentage that itch takes? Is it 12% or is it 30%? Itch profit split? What would you call it? revenue split. That's probably it. 10%. Oh, that's not bad. So the one thing that does get me about just selling through itch is that it would go into my PayPal account, right? If I understand that correctly. Oh, you can. That's what you're talking about. Yeah, that's what they're just saying. Revenue sharing. Anyways, so the one thing that gets me here is that so the 10% is pretty generous, which means it might not be so terrible. But if it does go into the PayPal account, there are PayPal transaction fees. So even though it is 10%, it's probably going to wind up being like 15% in total, which is actually still less than Steam. So in that case, it's probably fine. You can do 0% if you want. Wow. Oh, yeah. From 0 to 100%, set the slider to what you think is fair. Okay. I don't think I would set it to 0% because that just feels like I'm stealing at that point. I mean, someone's got to pay for the servers, right? Someone's got to pay for all these shitty RPG Maker games. Who's supporting that, right? So, if it just goes straight to PayPal, then it actually probably won't be a problem. I think it should be pretty simple in that case. But then there's also the whole tax thing too. But I guess I probably wouldn't be making enough sales for anyone to care. I don't know. It's a whole thing I have to look into. Tax is fucked here for me as well because technically speaking, like because America is America and they should own everything, it's kind of like I still have to pay taxes to America, but I also have to pay taxes for living in Japan. But Japan also really likes its taxes. You have your national tax, but you also have your city tax as well. So fuck me. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I'll figure that out. I know so with the Steam thing, I know that it takes a while. So I'm looking into that right now. That's kind of like my priority. I want to make sure that when I am ready to push release, that it will be released. And so I don't want to have to wait for any sort of processing on like tax documents or ID verification or anything like that I know Steam has to do. One of the things, I guess I should mention this too, since this is the whole store page, sell your game kind of thing. Although I said this is the just chatting section. So, but the thing is that there's a strategy to releasing as well, and I don't know if my strategy is going to be the correct one, but I think it's harder for very small indie games with no names to have to compete with major launches. So I have plans to launch my game during there tends to be like 2 or 3 lulls in like major releases for games throughout the year. It's kind of like usually in kind of like I guess there's really only 2, I would say. So it's kind of like during the middle of spring and kind of like the end of summer. Not too many major games are releasing during that time, which means people who are shopping during those times of the year are more likely to find your game. And that's what I would say for a small... I'm thinking, this is my thought process with nothing to base this off of, so don't follow this advice and think it's gonna hold true. But my logic behind this is, if I release my game when all the big names are releasing, like there's a bunch of games releasing in like February and stuff. Like let's look at 2023 game releases. So like February we have, let's see, we have Hogwarts Legacy, which is a pretty big name. There's a lot of people who are excited for that one. I'm sure a lot of these are interesting as well, but these are just names that I know that people are getting a lot of press. So Hogwarts Legacy is releasing. Not Wild Hearts. Atomic Heart is another one. Not as big, but still pretty interesting. I think a lot of people are talking about that. Like a Dragon Ishin is another one. My point is like if I release my game here in February, there's so many other big name games that are launching at this time that have a lot more marketing and a lot more interest behind them that they're just going to crowd my game out, and my game's not going to get seen. So my idea is for a small indie game, my logic here is that releasing in more of a dead month, like look at this, wow, April and May. I don't know how complete this list is, because I'm kind of surprised that there's nothing here. So this obviously is subject to change, but yeah, my idea is that releasing somewhere around this time, there's a lot less games being released, so hopefully there's a higher chance of people seeing my game and therefore possibly buying it. So that's the goal, and that's also why I'm saying is I want to make sure that I have my whole Steam thing set up and ready to go, so when I have found the opportune day that I feel like to release my game, I can push release and I know it's going to go out, right? Yeah, so I'm, like I said, looking into the Steam stuff now, and hopefully I'll have that set up soon. So, any other questions? I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the next stream. I kind of want to take a break from doing the game reviews, maybe just for one more week. Especially because I think it's been about 6 weeks since my last game dev stream. And this wasn't even really a game dev stream. I mean, I guess it kind of was, but it's not really talking about my game. It's talking about all the stuff that happens after you release the game, right? So, I just kind of want to take a question. Yeah, I just kind of want to take a break from doing game review stuff. I mean, Fortuna, you sent a pretty nice message to me after last stream. I also had once again Eric, who's the one who suggested this whole topic for this video as well. He had also had some pretty nice words to say as well about my last stream. But even still, I wasn't feeling very good about my last stream, and I think I just kind of need to take a break from reviewing games and kind of reconsidering how I present myself with streams when it comes to game reviews. So I don't think I'm going to be doing a game review next week. I will probably do another game dev stream because I think the whole game mechanics streams are not good. I talked about this before. I think they're kind of better. Like the concept behind the game mechanics streams work better as maybe a video format, not a live stream format. So I think that idea is pretty much dead. So that only leaves right now the only concepts I have for streams is game reviews and game dev, which is totally fine. I guess since I have my game grades page open here, I'll try to remember to address this whenever it is the next time I do a live game review live stream. But there's always a chance I might forget, so at least if I address it now, I will have at least addressed it at some point and not totally forget about it. I changed the rules. So normally I play the games on easy because the thing is I don't want to die a bunch of times and have you guys watching me repeat a section over and over and over again. So I always put it on easy so that way it's more interesting for people to watch, so I'm always making progress in the game. We're not rewatching the same thing However, if I'm trying to do my objective review thing, playing the game on easy is not giving a fair perspective on the game's actual balancing. So going forward, I'm no longer going to put the game on game journalist difficulty. I will put it on whatever the dev says is the default or normal difficulty for the game. So I've addressed that now, so if I forget next time, it's fine. I'm going to say it's your fault for not watching my whole 2.5 hour stream from before. Now that all that's been said, no questions, that's going to be it for this stream. So thanks so much for watching. I hope this stream was informative and helpful. And I suppose next stream I will be doing is another game dev stream. Maybe I'll show off my closed beta. We'll see. I don't know. We'll find out whenever next week comes around. But until then, that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching. And, oh, hit my microphone. See you next time. Bye.